had a great time on this ride.
It's a great ride.
It's the first time doing it.
I couldn't believe what a sprint the start was and how fast the first 80 miles went.
The weather turned a little nasty on us.
Oh, it hails on us and it rains on it. You mean the hail?
Yeah.
You brought that in special for you guys.
Good.
What am I doing here again?
We got rained and hail.
It just opened up and for the last 10 hours or 10 miles the whole way it rained on us.
Never been hailed on before.
I sat at the bottom for a half an hour or so thinking it would eventually stop, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger.
My shifter broke and I was limited by 21 for the rest of the ride. How was that to do this ride in honor and memory?
I started having some problems. My heart, my chest hurt, my arm hurt. Wound up having triple bypass surgery.
I rode 80 miles faster than I've ever ridden in my life.
That was brutal. It was the longest last 10 miles of my life.
It's mind-numbing.
This is a brutal ride. The last bit is climbing for like 20 miles.
And then the last 20, slower than 20 miles I've ever ridden, is the slowest 20 miles I've ever ridden in my life.
I'm gonna re-gear my bike.
And then you enter the park and you think you're almost done, but you're not.
I'm gonna get rid of that compact frame. I've ridden a bike cross country and it wasn't even that hard. So this is the real deal.
Right.
Worse than the Rockies.
It keeps going and going and going.
It was great, right? It was great.
Lots of bugs, but beautiful. And I'm so happy that I did it.
It was very challenging, but I have to tell you, I enjoyed everything.
Don't know if I'll ever do it again though.
It's a great experience.
Good way to hang out with good people.
Beautiful day.
It was fantastic.
Makes you feel great when you finish it.
Breathtaking.
You gonna come back next year?
Absolutely.
Very challenging ride, but well worth every minute of it.
It was well worth it. I almost started crying when I crossed the finish line, so.
When you complete something like this, you really know you've accomplished something.
They call it the assault on Mount Mitchell. And yes, physically, the rider is forced to muscle up that old mountain, but that's only on the surface. It's more than a physical experience. It is a physical means through which is drawn out something that burns like a furnace inside. It's like a voice that you can almost hear when you're up there in those mountain hollows. It'll speak to you in a soft sort of whisper, kind of like the voice of a friend, and it's always right there with you. That voice was there long before the start of the ride. It was there when you were out there in the cold and rainy winter training rides. But going up that mountain is where a lot of people hear it for the very first time, and they realize they've just been ignoring it. Alright, so whose voice is it? Well, that's a good question. Maybe a better one is, why does the voice get quiet when you get up there to the top? You put your foot down on that mountain, the entire world is at your feet. Right then, that's when that voice gets real quiet. So what is that voice you've been hearing? Some people might call it your inner child, but it's not really. It's more of a human spirit. Maybe the reason people call it an inner child is because it's that thing inside of us, that immature impulse of excitement that's always wanted to do the things that are fun, the things that we enjoyed back before life got complicated. And maybe we think of it as an inner child because that's when we started hearing the voice, back when we were just kids. It takes on its own personality as we encounter the hardships of life, and it learns a language all its own, as unique as a fingerprint, and it shapes who we are as individuals. No two people ride up that mountain for all the same reasons. Friendships and bonds and struggles in the lives of the individuals might unify some groups of riders under a common banner, team jerseys, or a worthy cause. But it's the individual's unique spirit that compels them to push on, to make things right again, and to restore a noble balance between what things have happened to them and what things they choose to master. The human spirit is the essence that overturns the inevitable result of action and reaction. It's the human spirit that is the fulcrum and lever by which our reaction takes the ultimate control over past actions. For some, taking a bicycle and riding up that horrible mountain is a way to unbridle that human element in themselves and let it go. Let it prove itself, not just for their own satisfaction, but for others too. When we stay true to the course and strong to the last, we find that in that moment of our struggle's completion, that the small voice gets real quiet, kind of like a horse that was going crazy, and it settles down into the sweet, dreamless rest. It's in the calmness of that moment, life's balance is restored by overcoming a great struggle. And then what was impossible can now be called possible. The adversities and the struggles can be overcome because we were given the nature of the human spirit to win over life's many challenges through courageous acts and resolved determination. We can plainly see the physical limitations of our mortality and our frailty and our weakness, but those who see us will no longer question our persistence. It's vital for others to see our struggle. Even for those who fail while attempting something great, if we've given it our best, then the lives of others who are watching us will be changed. For as we conquer the obstacles in our life, taking victory in spite of the facts, we will give hope of triumph where there was none, and the tales that will be told will testify that though our lives were as shooting stars in the shadow of that great old mountain, on that day, we were each of us alive.
My name is Bruce Humphreys, from Gaffney, South Carolina. Cat 1 cyclist. I've been racing since '02, so 10 years now. Getting ready to start 2013, so 11 years into it. This past season was my 4th time doing Mount Mitchell, I think it was. And it doesn't get any easier. It's Mitchell, I think, epitomizes what cycling is. And the reason why I say that is because it's different for every person that lines up that day. For us, it's one of the longest events that we do during the season. We don't get a lot of road races that are actually that long, that have that amount of climbing in it. 11,000 feet of climbing is a big feat to do in one sit down and go. 100 plus miles is a big ride, especially if you're trying to do it as fast as you possibly can. But that doesn't take away from the person that lines up and this is his 15th time doing it or first time doing it. That challenge is still there regardless of who you are, regardless of how old you are. And I think that's why Mitchell has become what it has become, is because it allows each individual person to challenge themselves how they want to challenge themselves. I think that's what's good about it. Mitchell is more challenging in some ways just because the speed at which we do it. A lot of people don't understand how you can actually pedal a bike that fast and what it takes to be able to go that far, that fast. And I don't know how to explain it in layman's terms. I'd say layman's terms, not layman's terms, non-cyclist terms. I don't know how to explain it to somebody that's never done it. Other than maybe say, hey, get in your car and say the equivalent of a ride would be to drive your car halfway across the country without stopping and Let me know how you feel. It's sort of the same thing with us. Just sit on a bicycle seat for 5 hours and let me know how you feel after that. Once you're past Marion, you rarely ever, unless you go up there on a regular basis and climb that climb, you rarely ever get to climb for that extended amount of time. You can pretty much equate that to about a 2.5 hour climb. And most areas around here, you don't get to climb that much. So that in and of itself makes it challenging.
I'm Richard Ovis. I live here in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and I am a Saddle Mountain Mitchell veteran. I have attempted and completed Mitchell 12 times. Not only been a veteran of the Saddle Mountain Mitchell, I'm also a Vietnam veteran. I was in the United States Army, 68 through 1970. Coach Bobby Knight, one of his phrases is that the will to win is not nearly as important as the will to prepare yourself to win. And if you don't prepare yourself to cross that finish line on top of Mount Mitchell, more than likely you're not going to cross it.
My name's Ryan Jenkins. I'm a hobbyist cyclist that's completed assault on Mount Mitchell too many times to count. At 39 years old, they start running together a little bit. But definitely one of the more enjoyable rides get to complete each year, and try to put that on your calendar to get fit for and prepared for. And after I had my first kid, folks said, well, you won't ride as much, and it gave me more motivation to where I actually train harder. I mean, it just got more challenging to put time in, but you make time for things you want to do. If it's 4:30 in the morning or if it's 9:30 at night, I mean, you don't interrupt your family, but you make time to do the things you want.
The thing about Mitchell, Mitchell doesn't start the day of Mitchell. And Mitchell starts months in advance. You've got to prepare for this ride, from the beginner to the racer. You still have to prepare for it. You can't just show up that day and expect to do well if you want to do well. So the preparation has started months in advance. The preparation up to the night before has started the week before. That night before, you make sure you've got everything ready. You make sure your bag's packed for every conceivable weather possibility that you could think of. Because on the top of Mitchell, you can get there and it could be beautiful and sunny, or it could be snowing and freezing. You never know until you get there.
When I got to the base of Mitchell, it was partly cloudy. Sun was peeking through, upper 50s. However, 1 mile into Mitchell, it started to get foggy and misty. Another half mile in, because time's passing so slowly on Mitchell, it started drizzling lightly. Another quarter mile, it started drizzling pretty heavily. Temperature had dropped to the upper 50s. By the time I got to the top, it was in the mid 40s, cloudy, foggy, and I was beginning to shiver. So that's one thing about Mitchell. You never know what weather conditions you're going to get at the top of Mitchell. It's unlike any other place in the southeast, in my opinion.
One year that I believe this was like 93 or 94, we left Spartanburg that morning, pretty day, sunshiny day. By the time we got to Marion, it got cloudy and started to drill some rain. And then as we were climbing 80, it started pouring down rain. Then when they exited off, when we reached the top of 80, and we turned back left to go back on the parkway, it started thundering and lightning and pouring down rain. And so as you climbed and got higher on the parkway, the thunder and lightning had stopped, but the rain started turning into freezing rain. And then we got to the point where it was time to exit off the parkway to start climbing that Mitchell. It started sleeting. And then that first crest right there where the rock columns are, by the time that I had hit those rock columns, it was a snow blizzard. That road is that narrow. Everyone knows how narrow that road is. the people standing on this side of the road could not see the people on the other side of the road. It was a blizzard, snow. And by that time, my fingers had frozen so bad I could not bend them. The only way I could handle the bicycle was I took the palm of my hands, and I just applied pressure on the handlebars. My family was there on top there at that place waiting on me. I could hear my wife and my daughter and my son's voices, and matter of fact, I distinctly remember, just clear as a bell, my daughter saying, "Mama, is that Daddy? I can't make it out if it's Daddy or not." I mean, I heard their voices, I couldn't even see them. They were standing right on the side of the road. By the time that I passed the restaurant, gorgeous sunshine, clear as a bell, climbed right out of it. And by the time I got on top of Mitchell, it was one of the gorgeous, prettiest days on top of Mitchell I'd ever seen. And boy, you talking about that sunshine feeling good, warming you up, that's something else.
One thing that I think is critical for these rides is wearing a good base layer. You can wear a good base layer, 90-degree heat if it's going to be hot. A good base layer will help keep you warm if it's 40 degrees, which I've seen on Mitchell often. Another huge thing is, I know with the advancements in technology, with these technical fibers, it's great, to help move sweat away and evaporate. But one thing that I think is absolutely amazing for temperature regulation is wool. Wool socks, wool arm warmers, wool knee warmers. Even if the temperature is going to increase by 20 degrees that day, by the time you reach the parkway, you've gained enough altitude, the temperature almost stays the same if the weather's good. So if you're working up a sweat, the higher you climb, your water bottles actually start getting cooler and cooler. And so all the way to Mitchell, you have cooler and cooler drinking water.
So then the day of, you're up early. You couldn't sleep the night before. I don't know of anybody. I've raced a bunch of races, and there's something about Mitchell. It is Mitchell. Guys around here, or a lot of guys around here, that is the ride of the year. That's what they train for. And so you sleeping that night, in and out, double thinking everything. Did I do this right? Did I have this right? Do I have my bags packed right? Do I have my bottles? Do I have my nutrition right? Everything goes through your mind. Morning of, you're up bright and early, getting in the last little bit of breakfast if you can stomach it that early in the morning. You're meeting up with the guys you're going to ride with that day, and then right off the bat, you're sitting there. It's the earliest you've been up, other than to go to work through the week to ride your bike. And you look around, and there's 1,000 other people there or more doing the same thing you're doing. Different levels. You got racers, you got rec riders, you got older people, and so you get up and you're sitting there and you're waiting, and the anticipation's there. You're watching the clock. When do we get to go? When do we get to take off? Everybody talks about the last climb up to the top. There's other climbs out there. The first, I'd say, major climb, the first climb of the day basically is Beals Hill, Beals Mountain, and it's not that long. It's fairly steep, and at that point, you're still trying to keep the pace high, so you're going to climb it fast. If that's what your goal is for the day. Some guys, they know that they're not as well equipped to climb, so they ease back on the climb. That's perfect. Once you get past that one, it's not flat. It rolls. The terrain rolls from there on out. Then you come into Marion, and you head out from Marion, and it's fairly flat. You're just kind of unassuming, and then you hit Highway 80, and 80's a monster, because 80's a bunch of switchbacks, and 80 is steep. I don't think a lot of people know that going up that way, because that's not the direct route that you would typically take to get on the parkway. But that's a pretty nasty climb. And you know, if you go too hard up that climb, you're not making it to the parkway. Or you might, but it's going to be later, and you're going to be tired. And then once you get to the parkway is so unassuming. It's not that steep. It's not a steep climb, but it's a battle of attrition. I mean, you start climbing and you don't stop climbing. There's one section in the parkway where, okay, you go downhill for a little while, but it nowhere near makes up for the amount that you go up. It's really a teaser. You'd be better off just to leave it out. Just keep climbing. And then, you know, you get to the park and you think you're there and you're already hurt. I mean, you're hurt by this point. I don't care who you are, you're hurt. You get to that point, you get to the park, and you get to going into the park, and you just go, oh God, here we go again. And you want to sit down, but you can't sit down. And it's back and forth. Oh, I'm gonna stand up again. Okay, now I got to sit back down. And forward momentum, you got to keep forward momentum, but it's such a situation where you're really to the point where you can't give up now. I mean, you know, nobody gives up now. I mean, you're at the end. You can't give up. Your body keeps telling you want to, though, and your mind's starting to think about it too. You know, it's pretty crazy. But then you get to that last section where you see the parking lot, and you know, if you've been there before, you know it's almost over. And then you come up through and you see the cones, and you start seeing the people that are trying to keep you from riding over in front of somebody else. But then you see the finish line, and it's like, okay, this is it, I'm done now. And you never want to get off the bike so bad, but you're still feeling, you know, elation from I finished it again. You know, did it one more time. You know, that's just. I don't know. It's hard to explain sometimes. Put it in words what it is like to finish something like that, to accomplish something like that. You know, it is. It's Mount Mitchell. That's what it is.
In preparation for a ride of that kind of distance, you want to get to your mechanic or your bike shop probably at least a month ahead of time to get them to dial in your bike, to make sure your cables don't need replacing, that you've got the right type of cassette, because the cassette you're going to ride on the flatlands versus having the gear you're going to need for an assault on Mount Mitchell type of rider is definitely different.
You get cooled off and you're like, well, it's not that bad. And then another hill comes.
Thank you, guys.
Like, darn it. I'm going to re-gear my bike. I'm going to get rid of that compact crank. It's great on the flats and the rollers. You can smoke it. But when you start getting up in here, don't do it.
I know I've always used the mantra of whatever gearing I think I'm going to need to add another gear to it. I always want to have one more emergency bailout gear. I think all this kind of goes hand in hand with, you don't want to show up the day of the ride not knowing when you need to eat, what you need to eat, how far you can ride. Hopefully you've been able to rehearse a little bit on your own in somewhat of similar circumstances.
There's no replacement for riding Mount Mitchell than riding Mount Mitchell. You should come train up here, especially when you live as close as I do.
And we'll ride up Highway 80, climb the parkway, climb up top to Mitchell, take a little break, and then we ride back down. Number one, is get used to the altitude and climbing. Number two is that get used to sitting for those long periods of time.
After you get your number, I always think, well, what am I going to eat that night to pre-fuel for that ride? The ride starts at 6:30, so you're up at 5 or so, making sure your bike's in good shape, making sure everything's shifting right, making sure you get your breakfast in you, numbered up, pack as much food as you can in your pockets, think through, you know, at what point am I going to eat this because I'm going to pack that closer to the edge of my pocket, because you have to really dumb things down, thinking ahead as to what am I going to feel like after 3, 4, 5 hours on this bike. And simple things like, well, I'm going to put the gel closest to the end versus I'm going to put the bar in the back. I'm also thinking about your hydration. Do you drink water? Do you drink Gatorade? At what point? How much? Pre-hydration the morning of. You don't want to drink too much to where you've got to use the bathroom after 20 minutes and watch the rest of the field go up the road and you're gone for the day. But all that begins to come together. You know, you're kitted up, go out, temperatures chilly. Do you want arm warmers, leg warmers? Do you kind of rough it for the first hour till the sun comes out. Checking shoe covers, all these little checklists you go through until you finally have negotiated with yourself internally to where you're comfortable that you got the right combination, you got the right amount of food, you got the right amount of drink. And then after that, for me, I know it always is, you're at peace with that. So you click into your pedals, you're around, gosh knows how many other hundreds or thousands of cyclists. At that point, I think it's always neat to look around again at the faces that you see and the spectrum of people who are on that start line, from pro bike racers to an average Joe who probably lost a bet, and here they are 6 months later, trained up and ready to do the assault on Mount Mitchell to see how it's going to go for them.
Yay, Mount Mitchell riders! We are here to cheer on our daddy and husband, cheer for the riders as they go by, and then we're going to go have breakfast together and then go to school. And this is something we've done for 3 years in the past, and we just love it. So this is our annual Mount Mitchell tradition.
Hi, we're the Duncans, and we are supporting the people we work with at Bosch.
So over the years, I've become to appreciate a lot more from having the ability to ride. It's only gotten harder now that I have 2 kids and a busy home life, a busy career, and a busy spouse. But somehow, I mean, end of every year, I talk to my family, and it's like, do we want to do this another year with my cycling and my son's football and my daughter's soccer and my wife's schedule? And it's like, yeah, let's do that. So it's always more motivation just to try to do it for another year and hopefully do it at a decently high level for a hobbyist, but just enjoy it. I mean, the stories that you're able to share with friends after these rides, the memories you take away from them, to me are special and things you're going to remember all your life.
Hi, I'm Henrietta, and this is Sophia. We're here for Daddy, Ruben Dedmont. This is his first time riding Mount Mitchell, though he's done Marion a couple times. And we're just here excited to see him and help him on his way. We got his waters and some food.
Well, it's my first time, and I'm glad to see it over with. One long ride.
My name's Bobby Mishler. This is my mom, Lisa Mishler. And we're here at my dad's 6th time climbing up Mount Mitchell. Storming it out in the weather and get a picture and run with him up to the finish line.
I'm Bob Mishler, it's my wife Lisa, it's my son Bobby, and we feel great.
I'm here in support of Steve Salvo from Indianapolis, Florida, and of course he waits to come in the rain. Everybody's done a terrific job. Thank you to everybody.
All right. Well done. What's your name and where you're from?
Steve Salvo, Indianapolis, Florida, Melbourne. That was really something.
Thanks for doing
it. Did this 22 years ago.
Nice!
No, Patty's the athlete of the family. She's the marathon runner. Thank you very much.
My name is Carrie Owens. I'm here to support my husband. This is the first time with his assault to the Mount Mitchell. And so just there to support him and egg him on and wish him all the best and that he rides well and stays safe.
My name is Michael Owens. This is my wife Carrie. My son Benjamin, Ethan, my daughter Olivia. And this is my first time riding Mount Mitchell. And it was a really good ride. I think it went really well. Didn't have no problem with my bike.
Davey.
Sarah. Debbie.
And we did it! Yay!
My name's Scott Borsier. I'm from Manchester, New Hampshire. This is my first time doing this. Really extreme challenge, but I guess you guys expect to see me back next year. Thank you.
How do you feel about getting to the top?
Oh my God, relief. It is relief. I guess I've watched YouTube videos and they said Route 80 was a killer, and yeah, it led up to his name. So I'm excited to be done and excited to go back home.
Awesome.
My name's Bobby Roos, this is my wife Kim. We just rode up Mount Mitchell, this was our first century.
My name is Peter Meyerhofer. This is my 10th full time to do the assault on Mount Mitchell. So I started when I was 12, I was the youngest. My first time I was just under 12 hours and it was cold, miserable, but I seem to make it somehow with support from my family.
There's oftentimes been moments when I had a good ride, maybe a 5-hour ride, and you've had time to change clothes, and you see people coming up that are still 2 hours away and have already been in the saddle for 6 or 7 hours. And I give those people more respect than a lot of the fit race folks who show up, because those people that can hang in there for 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, that are the ones who have really paid their dues. And I think it's even more rewarding when you hit that finish line.
I'm John DeLutis, Harford County, Baltimore, Maryland. I'm 70 years of age, and this is my 23rd assault.
Right. Would you do it again? I've done it. Okay. A couple of questions for you. We give you one of these. John DeLutis, Harford County, Baltimore, Maryland.
All right. How many times up is this for you?
23.
Everybody that does this ride, no matter how, quote, good you are or skilled you are, you all have a story. I mean, you're kind of conquering your own challenges, no matter how high up you're placing.
My name is Dan Katie from Greenville, South Carolina. This is my second attempt. Last year was the first time, and I made it 98 miles and packed it in because I was cramping up. I'm the upstate chair for the American Diabetes Tour to Cure.
All right.
Got type 2 diabetes, so.
My name's Al Fernandez. I live here in Spartanburg, and this is my 14th attempt. The first time I did Mitchell, I was walking so much of the parkway, I was walking faster than some people were riding. And so they were not happy about that. So they, get on your bike, get on your bike. And I couldn't because I was cramping so bad.
So yeah, my name is Alex Viata. I'm from Durham, North Carolina, and this was my first attempt at the assault on Mount Mitchell. I think I got it a little bit over my head. It was my first century ride. I've done marathons in the past. I signed up for an Ironman triathlon this year. I figured, what the heck, how hard can this be? I figured that, look, if I'm actually going to get out on the bike and do what I need to do and do the training I need to do, I need to have something that's going to scare the heck out of me. And I was looking through a lot of rides this year, and I looked at the race profile for this one, and I said, I really don't want to do that, which means it's the perfect ride. I thought, well, you know what, if I can do this, if I can get through this, really nothing is going to scare me at this point. So, and there you go. I can't say the thought of doing it again doesn't scare me, but nothing else does. So, mission accomplished. So for a little bit of my background, I'm not actually an endurance athlete. My background has been powerlifting. I've done that for years now. That's the kind of sport where it's 3 events. It's squat, bench press, and deadlift. And what's nice about it is after about 3 seconds whether you succeeded or not, which is it's not really the case in endurance sports. It's more like 3 hours whether or not you're going to have a good day. And I think about the 3-hour mark was about where I figured I wasn't going to have a good day on this particular ride. It was my first experience with pack riding, which was nice. I remember looking down at the speedometer and realizing, hey, I'm going 26 miles an hour, and I'm not even thinking about it. And then around mile 60, there was just a little hill, and then it just kept going and going and going and going. And I think that's what showed me that doing hill repeats for hours is not quite the same thing as actually going out and doing a mountain ride. So that was a little discouraging, but same time it was I think that first shot of reality. I think I realized that okay, I'm really gonna have to put my heart into this, and this is not the same as doing a marathon. I have to say I appreciate the fact that my girlfriend was there.
My name is Kelly Bruno, and I guess I didn't do assault on Mount Mitchell quite like everyone else did. I had a non-traditional version of the assault on Mount Mitchell. I was actually a spectator, and I went to see my boyfriend.
I started having back spasms, and at one point I actually dismounted the bike, and then I never thought I'd do this, but I actually lay flat on my back, just to try to catch my breath, to try to get the pain and the suffering, just somehow get that to stop. And you know, I remember a couple bikes came by me and people looked down and said, "Are you okay?" They looked really concerned, which probably should have told me something.
You know, he sounded really just frustrated with his body. It wasn't doing what he told it to do, which, having a lot of experience in endurance sports, I am used to that feeling. I know it is a temporary feeling, and the number of times he's told me, just keep going.
And she just looks at me and she says, "You know, you're gonna be really disappointed if you quit."
I think it was very easy for me to say that to him, and I told him that he needed to get back on his bike. He needed to ride to the next aid station.
So that was the sympathy I got from her.
To be honest, there was a lot of selfishness in that because I knew that I would not hear the end of it if he didn't finish.
So, I mean, this is a girl who does, you know, ultra marathons. I think she's done a 100-mile road, you know, a 100-mile trail run. So I don't think she had much sympathy for somebody who was cracking on a 100-mile bike. So, you know, I actually get back on at that point. You know, they're really kind of, you know, so much comforting words from the girlfriend there, but I think it was exactly what I needed.
From there, he really just recovered quickly.
I took a good 10-15 minutes, and you know, off I went.
And at that point, I figured, you know, I had another at least probably 2 hours, hour and a half or so. So I figured I'd get a run in, and I think I was a little bit envious of the competitors out there, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I did my own version of Mount Mitchell, and really had a great experience. I cheered on riders, you know, from the road. I got awesome pictures from just because I was basically running up the side of this mountain. You know, took that opportunity and had a great experience running to the top.
When I got to the top of the hill, I shot Kelly a text. I said, "You know, I made it." And I thought she was just going to go for a little jog down, you know, around and see the prettiness and go back. I should have known better than that. Anytime you put her anywhere and say there's a finish line somewhere within a day's journey, she'll go there.
I hope to meet Alex at the top. That was my goal.
So, you know, I wasn't thinking. I literally hopped on the first bus, got very lucky, hopped on the first bus and headed back down.
So I should have known that the timing wouldn't work out, but I tried, and I got to the top, and it turns out he had already left, which was bittersweet. It was disappointing not to see him at the top of Mount Mitchell and be able to really be excited for him up there and celebrate him finishing. But I think it also, the good part about it was he finished a lot earlier than he would have if he had still been up there. So I can't be too disappointed. He was already headed back down the mountain.
So here I am back down to Marion, and frantically texting Kelly and saying, "Where are you?" And don't hear anything.
My name's Kelly. I'm from Durham, North Carolina. I just came out to support my boyfriend. It's his first century ride. So I came out to cheer him on and wanted to do at least something.
And suddenly I get a text from an unknown number that says, you know, I'll see you down in Marion. Okay, I don't exactly know what happened. And so apparently what she had done was, you know, the whole 16 plus miles of pain that I was doing on the bike, she decided to run it. So she just took off, left her car, took off, and, you know, ran up the mountain, because why not? I mean, who does that? And so she actually did meet me back down in Marion. She hitched a ride on a motorcycle. I'm sure she'll tell you more about that. And came all the way back down and started telling me what a great experience it was running up there and just pacing people on the way up. And actually, I think she probably would have ended up pacing me, but one advantage here, there's a little downhill in there. So, you know, we all get up to about 30 plus on that downhill, and she was still going about 6. Because the other thing is, prosthetic running legs don't have heels, so they actually go slower downhill than they do uphill. So yeah, that's how I beat her.
Granted, he had a head start and he was on a bike and I was running.
And so I just want everyone to know that I managed to successfully beat my amputee runner girlfriend up the mountain while I was on a bike.
And we were able to celebrate later that night. And so I think it was an awesome experience to have together and be able to share. And now he knows, you know, what it's like when I race, and I know what it's like when he spectates.
You know, I remember actually getting on the Blue Ridge Parkway and thinking, wow, this is beautiful. And you know, obviously the competitive spirit that kept me going up to that point was thoroughly beaten out of me. And you know, I went through some of the tunnels and just looked out and realized, wow, this is beautiful. And you know, I pulled out my camera phone, which I'd been using as a GPS to take some pictures, and realized that the battery had died, which was another sign that I'd been out there too long. So instead, I tried to settle for the mental pictures, and you know, I realized that, you know, I think part of what made this whole thing so special, and part of what made riding this race different for me was, you know, every ride I've gone out on, it's the same roads, and you know, it's beautiful to go look at countryside and look at farmland, but what an experience. I mean, this was, you know, here I am, everything is hurting, and you just, part of you wants to be anywhere else, part of you wants to be home, but then I looked out and just, you know, literally mist-covered mountaintops. You know, here I am, it's still a beautiful day at this point, and I just said, you know what, there's nowhere I'd rather be. You know, I gotta say, just that unrelenting mountain, it's there's what a feeling of accomplishment. You know, it's some other races I've done, whether they be triathlons or even other road races at this point, the finish line is kind of an anticlimax. You know, all the hard riding is behind you. You know, all the burning, all the pain. You can kind of just coast into the finish line, and there you are, you're done. But I think for Mitchell, just you know, when you get in the park, it evens out a little bit, but then you get that kick up at the end, and there's such a feeling like, you know, I've actually done this, and it was probably one of the greatest feelings, crossing that line, knowing that I really almost cracked doing this. You know, I think the words I got from my girlfriend out there was, you know, you'd be disappointed if you quit, and you know, I think it's something that's probably gotten her through a lot of races. You know, she's given that, you know, she's an amputee. She often has problems with her legs, with fit. You know, she'll have, you know, picture wearing a pair of hard shoes every day, and then having to run and bike and do everything else in those same shoes. That's what it's like for her. So, you know, usually the second half of any race is pretty much pain for her. So she's been told a lot of times, you know, this just keep going. You know, just put your head down, just keep going. And you know, that whole thing where the pain of regret is so much worse than actually the pain that you're feeling at that moment. And it's right about when everything hurts and when you feel your worst, when you feel you're at your worst, that you know you can't quit. That's that critical time. It's not the beginning of the race. It's not the first 5 miles. It's not the first 10 miles. It's not even the first 50 miles. It's at 80 miles. It's at 80%, 90% when everything is just kind of given out, and you know, at that point you just feel like your worst. The finish line is still an hour away, or you know, however long, but you know that's really where the race starts. You know, for those of us who aren't trying to win it, for those of us who just want to go out there and see if you can do it, that's what really matters. You know, it's I don't want to say anybody can go out there and quit after 85 miles, but that's certainly that's the kind of thing where you look back on it and you will always say, I wish I'd done it. You know, it's, so what if that would have been 45 more minutes of burning in my legs? What is that in the scheme of things? And you know, I think that's why a lot of people do these things for the first time. It's a hard thing to make yourself do. You realize everything in your body is telling you to stop. You really kind of need to look back and take that perspective and say, I've come this far. I've trained for months. I've put myself through all this, and if I stop now, what's it going to be for? And I think that's really something I learned there. You know, I've never hit the wall that hard. You know, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you just got to know that this is not. It's going to hurt, but it's not permanent pain. You know, it might feel like it when you wake up tomorrow, but 2 weeks later, nothing's damaged, nothing's broken, and you know, if only most pain in life were like that. And I think that was the biggest lesson for me. And that's definitely something I'll take with me.
So the pecking order for the day has been set amongst the team. You know, these guys are going to do this. The next guys are going to take over, and they're going to set the pace going up the climb. And, you know, all plans work out right. That's what you want, is to have a certain number of guys to sacrifice their self, to sacrifice their own ride to the top for the common good of maybe one or two guys. This last time we were trying to beat the record. That was the total goal for the day. Whoever, it does not matter who it is, somebody needs to beat the record on our team. So the guys that knew, leaving out of the gate, from there till the first climb up Bill's Hill, some of those guys knew after Bill's Hill they weren't going to make it any farther. When they got to Marion, that was it for them. They couldn't make it any farther. Going on would just be torture. So they just, for the better good of the team, for the better good for beating the record, that's what we did. We set it up and kept the pace high. Once we got to Marion, it was a select group of us, and then each and every one of us that had done the work did more work and then peeled off and then allowed Scotty to take over when he was best suited to take over. The guy can climb like nobody I know, and that's what he did.
So it was just me and, you know, 3 other guys. Had no more teammates. You know, we're on the way to the finish, and, you know, I didn't really know what to do. So the French guy, I'm not sure his name, but he went to the front and started riding. And I didn't really know the ride. I've never been up there, so I wasn't really sure when to go, but he pulled for a while and down the dip, and, you know, we started up the climb, and I decided to go ahead and make my move, and I get a huge gap. And so I'm thinking, well, do I solo? Do I go from here? You know, let me see if they're going to do anything. So all of a sudden I see somebody trying to come across. And I look back, and I kind of knew it was Ryan coming. You know, I kind of know his riding style. I've known him a while, but, you know, so I back it off and I let him come up. And you know, Ryan knew that we were way up on like the record time, and he's like, man, let's just work together, like, you know, don't go and start attacking and all that. And I'm like, well, you want to work? And he's like, yes. So I was like, all right, since it's you and I, you know, let's do this thing, you know. So basically we came to kind of like a truce. He's like, look, man, if we can work together, we're both going to go, you know, inside the record time. And you know, I'm not here to, you know, like, I'm here to do my best time, and let's just work together. So I said, all right, we'll do that. So basically I committed myself, and he committed to me, that we work together at that point and keep the tempo high to go inside the record time. And, you know, it played a big factor because, you know, I don't know if going solo, you never know if you're going to crack or what, but, you know, you got somebody to share the pace with you, then both guys can go ahead and, you know, if you trust each other, you can give it your all to break that, you know, to do that, you know, record time, the goal. And I had a little bit in reserve. I mean, like I said, we were both feeling it. Everybody hurts, you know, if they tell you they wasn't, you know, they would be lying to you, because, you know, it's tough. And basically that's what we did. I mean, you know, it got steep in the park. You know, I was suffering a little bit. You know, I know he was suffering a little bit. You know, I did a hard pull, then he would come and do a hard pull. We just worked together, and we got up near the top, and I just went ahead and, you know, it was a special time because, you know, it was a great day. The sun was shining. It was great weather. We had a great team there, and, you know, we all did everything we could to do what we came there to do. And I can't wait to do it again. So it was pretty special.
This is my first time doing Mitchell, but it's got a long history. So I've wanted to do it for a bunch of years. Our team was on the front the entire day, and it couldn't have happened without those guys. I mean, I'm proud of it. So.
You know, it's a lot to have on you when you have a large group. All of those guys got up on the front. They set a great pace. You know, working, sweating. You know, putting everything into it they could. The goal was to not so much to win, but to break the record. You know, for hours on end. Those guys sit up there and they just rode as hard as they could. And, you know, some of those guys would go off the train, our train, and they'd have to, you know, get a second wind, and then they would come back and start kind of like slaving at the front. There's no way a record would fall without a group of people, right? Like, you know, they were that day. It's hard to explain, like, what it takes, like the dedication to a goal. You know, I mean, you're kind of sacrificing anything you can do for yourself for the goal, you know, that we're trying to reach that day. And you know, it's real special when you see a group of people dedicate themselves to do that.
My name's Evan Tucker from High Point, North Carolina. I've done the event once previously, last year. Had a great experience, and one of my best riding buddies, Gina Jacobs, also did the event. And she had multiple flats, and she was hoping this year to better her finish. And she was really excited about the Assault 2012. She was going to come back and just, you know, have an awesome event, awesome time. And sadly, she never got that chance. Earlier this year, she had an accident while riding, training, and passed away. And so this year, I would like to do the event in her memory and honor and get her the best finish I possibly can.
I am Dolly Jennings from Bicycle Toy and Hobby. You never, ever saw her without a smile. And that smile was contagious. She became the state champion in North Carolina in her division at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in time trials. I can't tell you the glow she would have the next morning when she would be back in here. Dolly, guess what? I won. And it was contagious to everyone. As the lead volunteer coordinator for Oak Hill School in High Point, North Carolina, she helped to bring the test scores for these children up 19% in 1 year. I cannot tell you how many people were recruited to read in that school, donate merchandise, donate time, many, many things. You never told Gina no, because she'd look at you with a wonderful smile and say, will you help me do this? Of course, the answer was always yes. The library in the school has been named the Gina Jacobs Library. One of the funniest stories about Gina, she never left her house without her eye makeup on. And when I tell you all of her eye makeup, it was never overdone, but she had her makeup on so everybody could show up looking like they were half asleep. And Gina looked wide awake, no matter if it was 4 a.m., if it was 10 a.m., or if it was in the afternoon. But it was always a joke. She always would wear waterproof if they were doing an event and the forecast was rain.
My name's Evan Tucker from High Point, North Carolina. This is my second time doing the Assault on Mount Mitchell. Last year was my first. And I was asked to do this ride in her honor and memory, and I was just pleased that I could do anything for her family. And I was trying to give her the best time I could today, and she was with me, and I felt her out there on the bike. So. And I'd like to also thank the organizers for allowing me to do this. They've been very gracious and very helpful the entire process.
I'm Rodney Wolf from Gaffney, South Carolina, and a year ago when I was out, I was training to ride Mitchell last year. I started having some problems. My heart, my chest hurt, my arm hurt, stuff like that. And so instead of riding, I went to the doctor, and I figured it was something simple.
How many weeks did he give you to live?
Oh, I had days, and he said you really should have died on the mountain.
It was May, the end of April. 2011 when we make our annual pilgrimage up to Mitchell. Had we been in the group, I really believe that we'd have been racing and I'd probably dropped over dead. Thank God we weren't in a group. But we left Marion and started up and got on 80. I started getting indigestion and sort of a choke in my neck. Things didn't feel right. I was drinking more than normal, and then a little bit of chest pain, back pain. But then you think, well, maybe it just sometimes that happens when I take off. I just feel a little bit tight, so I'll be okay. I'll just work a little bit harder. Going up into the state park that day, I knew then there was something wrong. And then the next following week, I went out to ride, and I started to do a tempo. And I went out, and my heart rate wouldn't come up. The heart rate wouldn't come up. So I rode harder and made it come up, and I started having heart symptoms. It started hurting the center of my chest, center of my back, under my arm, my elbow, beside my jaw, things like that. Finished my ride, came on home. I took the next day off. Thursday, I went out again to see if I could repeat these symptoms because I wanted to make sure before I called the doctor. I wasn't 5 miles from the house and the symptoms came back. So I came home, my wife got home, and I told her, I said, I can't ride Mitchell. She said, well, I said, something's wrong with my heart. The morning of May the 11th, they did triple bypass. And the right side that the doctor said was blocked 100%. And it was using collateralities there. The center was blocked like 65, 70. And the left side descending, from the way they explained it, was 92, 95%. So there was a good reason I had symptoms because there was no blood flowing. And they did surgery on May the 11th. I got out of the hospital the day of Mitchell in 2011. I was released from the hospital. I went to see the doctor again. He said, on no uncertain terms, will you ride a bicycle before August the 11th, or you shouldn't. I started riding on July the 7th, riding a bike and knowing what I was supposed to feel like and what my heart's supposed to do and all this other. He said, riding a bike probably saved your life. Going out and riding and exercising.
What's your goals for next year?
Beat my time. We'll probably be 9.5 hours next year. I'm not the first one up the mountain, but I'm not the last one up the mountain.
Yes!
I do all things to the Lord.
Exactly.
Who strengthens me.
Yeah!
He did it.
That was sweet. Holy mackerel. You're awesome.
How was it?
That sucks.
Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
You're awesome.
Now I'm gonna put a patch in your back, okay? Hands up. Kevin, come this way.
Well done. Tell this lady right here where you're going. What number trip up is this for you? Number 2?
But it's the first one beating AOS.
My big brother. Kevin Milam is my big brother. And I don't just mean he's my parents' eldest child or that he's bigger than me. He is actually smaller than me. My brother's stature can only be measured by the volume of his heart and the strength of his character. Toss all that in with a guy who dances to his own tune, and you have a remarkable individual. Kevin has always been passionate about whatever he chose to pursue, and he usually pursued surprising things that were seemingly impossible to achieve. We grew up in southern West Virginia, where it isn't hard to be eccentric. Kevin was involved in all the normal childhood activities, but was always somehow a little different. Even from a young age, He had strong opinions and was highly intelligent. More importantly, he was always willing to fight tooth and nail for what he loved. When he was 11, he ran our babysitter and her partying friends off with a shotgun because, as he told them, "Y'all ain't supposed to be having a party here. You need to leave." He was and is fearless with an all-in mentality. He began taking ballet and dance when he was in high school and fell in love with it. Though he wasn't the prototypical body type, he was great at it. And more importantly, he worked like a man possessed to be great at it, and he was. It became his passion, and true to form, he could care less what others thought, or even if he was teased at school. He didn't care what anyone thought of this dancer. He'd fight you. Bullies beware. He got a scholarship to the North Carolina School of Arts in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He excelled there under the tutelage of Dean Duncan Noble. He became a professional dancer and danced all over the world for years. When he was in his 40s, he decided to pursue two more lofty goals. He decided he was going to be a doctor, run triathlons, and compete in the Ironman in Hawaii. Like all the decisions he made them out of the blue. He made them quick. What makes Kevin unique is that once he makes that decision, no force of nature, cultural barriers, financial limitations, political subdivisions, or foreign armies will dissuade him from making it happen. Once he decides, the rest is history. Not many years later, he graduated from Marshall University Medical School and has been a physician for several years. He competed in the Ironman in Hawaii too, and many other triathlons as well. His motto should be, "Go big or go home," because Kevin always goes big. He is beloved by his patients for the same fierce care he has given everything. What Kevin loves, Kevin fights for. This hillbilly fairy tale wouldn't be complete without the inclusion of his most wonderful achievement, the discovery of the love of his life, Janet Wallace. As in all things, Kevin was not limited by time or age. He was never in a hurry and never seemed constrained by a need to get something done before he ran out of time. He took his time in most everything, but he made every second count. When we met Janet for the very first time, I told my children, "Hey, Uncle Kevin's going to get married." They were flabbergasted. "No way," they said. This was the typical response to all Kevin's decisions. Kevin and Janet were married on August 14th, 2010. It was a spectacular wedding, not for the pomp and circumstance, but for the love the two of them had for one another. Kevin choreographed a surprise dance that the two of them performed. We were all blown away. In the summer of 2011, I noticed a change in my brother's voice that alarmed me. I didn't say anything, but I knew something was wrong. We eventually talked about it, and he said his throat had been bothering him for some time. As time wore on, he began to fear it was neuromuscular. In March of 2012, he was diagnosed with ALS, more commonly known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It was a devastating report, but one that Kevin had self-diagnosed months earlier. He struggled emotionally up to the day we got the actual diagnosis, but from that point on, Kevin did what Kevin does best. He made a decision. He chose life. Though he has faced many struggles in dealing with this disease, he has lived and lived abundantly. Once again, the size of his heart would be put on display. I can't convey to you in words just how big my big brother really is. I'm not sure it can even be measured. He and Janet are an inspiration to our entire family and all who know him. Not because of the blood and guts battle with ALS. That's actually small potatoes for my big brother. But for the person that he is.
I am nothing but God can work miracles with nothing.
Art the miracles.
You are a
I am beating ALS.
Yes.
And not because I rode up a mountain, but because God is here in you and you and you, and His hands, His grace and His strength and His love through imperfect vessels.
Yes.
And I rode today to glorify His name and show my appreciation for all my blessings, many of which I take for granted, as do we all. But I'm sorry, I'm not very eloquent.
You're amazing up here. You are amazing. Yeah.
I love my wife and my family, and through them, God is doing great things. That's all.
Thank you.
Here, let me get a picture. That's a team right there. That's awesome. Great job. Woo! That's awesome. Man, I want to call the whole church.
Fellowship of Cyclists is probably the most beneficial thing that I've gained from it. The guys that you ride with them every Saturday, you go through the training rides, you become like brothers and all. It's just something that you can't beat, and nothing ever comes close to it. You're out there, everyone's training hard for the same goal. They look out for each other. If one person has a flat, three will turn around, come back, help him get it repaired, and back on the road again. So it's definitely one of the most rewarding benefits of cycling.
What are you doing?
I'm waiting on my buddy. He said we're going to do it, so we're going to finish together. Go ahead, knock across that finish line. Go. Get up there. No, I'm not doing it. Go. Go, man. Go.
Well done.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
This past year, I rode with the guy, and he kept saying, "Listen, I'm done. I'm done." And he said, "Are you done?" I said, "No, I'm not done. I'll keep riding." And he said, "You've had triple bypass. If you're going to ride, I'm staying with you." So he just kept, wherever I was, he was. If I stopped, he stopped. He made a rest stop. And one of the guys that I ride with, his name's Timmy Earls. We call him Turkey. He's a sub. He rides in the 5 to 6 hour range whenever he rides Mitchell. He's in that group. He's a good guy. And we were at work, I think it was like on a Thursday, and we were talking. He said, "You ride Mitchell?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to ride." He said, "Who are you riding with?" I said, "Heck, I'm going to ride alone." He said, "No, you're not." I said, "Yeah, it's okay, don't worry about it." So he gives me a call and says, I'm taking Monday off. He said, "I'm going to go sign up to ride Mitchell." He said, "Me and Jimmy are going to go with you." And they took a day off of work to ride Mitchell with me. And these guys, like I said, are 5, 6 hour riders on Mitchell. And Jimmy said, "Just stay behind us." And they pulled me all the way to Marion. And we went all the way up 80, stuck with me when I had to stop, went up the Parkway, stayed with me. He could have rode up and back 4 or 5 times in the time it took me to get up there. It's pouring rain, there's an inch of rain you can hardly see, there's thunder, there's lightning. And we turn off the Parkway and start up into the park, and it starts hailing. And anybody that was up there last year knows how hard it hailed. Hail was everywhere, crunching under your tires. And we were almost done. He said, well, he said, I got to go. And he took off, and he finished about 20 minutes ahead of me. But you know, you meet people out there like that all the time. When you talk to them, you know, it's gonna be okay. Come on, it's not that much farther. I've been up here a few times. We go up that, you know, everybody's in the same situation up there. Everybody wants to finish, but you know, everybody needs some encouragement. Timmy and Jimmy both, yeah, I really don't want to say. You can't ask for, you know, for better people than like that, and that's what you want. Those are just good friends. At the beginning of the ride, we pulled up from the auditorium, pulled on the street up there, and I said, I think I've got a flat tire. And they looked at my bike, so you don't have no flat tire. And I bounced the front end, I said, front tire's flat. So we rolled back down the hill to the van from the Great Escape, and I jerked a tube out from underneath my seat. I was just gonna have them air it up for me, and went to put it in. I changed rims and got deeper rims, and I hadn't changed tubes. My tubes wouldn't fit through my rim. The stem wouldn't fit through my rim. And Dennis was there. He jumps in the back of the van, throws a tube in it, pumps it up, puts it back on, sends me on my way. Had it not been for that, I'd have been sitting there as the pack roared away. It's things like that that happen. You know, you need something to eat, you need some water, somebody needs something, you got a tool, anything. You know, you stop for everybody.
There's a lot of individuals that do this ride, and you know, that's great to be out there by yourself, lone wolf style, and that's what you're doing Mitchell. We've always basically done this ride as a team, and it's been on our calendar as a team event. And you know, like I said before, our whole goal this time was to have one person beat the record, and it was a common goal amongst the team, and no attitude was ever put forth by any person as an objection to that. I mean, it was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna work together, and naturally, it turned to Scotty. Scotty's raced pro. Scotty's done big races. He's done all the races, basically. He just this last year coming back and racing with us, he came from a professional race team back with us. And to have that kind of person on your team, and to be able to depend on that person, and to know that if you do sacrifice for that person, if you give up any kind of results for yourself that day, he's going to take over and he's going to be able to capitalize on that. He's going to do it. He's going to finish it out. He's obligated. In his mind, he's obligated now. No matter what, he's going to finish. Barring some major form of injury, he's going to finish this thing, and he's going to do it for us as much as for himself. And a lot of people don't see that. I don't think a lot of people may see, you know, guys on our team that they know, that they've ridden with, that know this guy's strong. I mean, we ride with him all the time. He's strong. He should be able to win this thing. Why is he going behind? Why is he, you know, why is he stopped? Why is he going so slow up this climb? Well, you don't understand that, you know, for the past 2 hours that guy's been on the front. He's been pushing himself as hard as he can to keep that pace high for that other person. A lot of guys don't understand that. They've never been in that situation. They've never been in a situation where they push for somebody else and work for somebody else for a common goal of the team, and they don't understand that. They always ask you. You get that question after the race is over, and you think, well, what happened to you? What happened to you? What happened to me was that I was done, you know, I was finished. I did what I had to do to get him up there. And they also don't see the end result of it is right at the end of the ride, you know, when we're done and the record's broken and Scotty's up there and they're interviewing Scotty because he's won. You know, he stops right in the middle of the interview when I walk by and you know, we're congratulating each other. And it's like, you know, like I said before, I mean, it's just as good as if I did it. To me, it feels just as good to know that I was part of it. That's one of the main things about being on a team and being able to to do things with a group of guys. And I mean, and honestly, you don't have to necessarily be on a team. Yeah, we're on a team. We all got the same jersey on. We all ride the same bikes. We're out there. We're doing it day in and day out, week in and week out. You know, and you could have a group of guys you ride with just every day. And if you guys band together and work together for that one person or a couple of you, or just set your goal as, hey, we're all going to finish. Roll back, help the next guy, and get everybody at the end. And it just means so much to do that. And I don't think a regular person that doesn't ride a bicycle understands it as much until they're out there doing it. It's just it's an unbelievable thing, really.
The Assault on Mount Mitchell ranks up there as one of the most recognized long-distance bicycle rides in the U.S. In its 37-year history, it has cemented its legendary difficulty in the minds of the cycling community across America and around the world. In almost 4 decades of hosting the event, the freewheelers have nearly perfected the process. However, knowing how to make it happen and having everything in place and ready to go are 2 different things. For those involved, it is both a mental and physical challenge, not unlike that of a marathon. It takes a whole year of planning and negotiating to prepare things for the ride. Hundreds of people are involved in orchestrating an enjoyable and safe event. Text messages, phone calls, emails, and faxes, painting course markers, pre-driving the route for safety, testing plans for emergencies, organizing training rides. A lot of work goes into setting up for the banquet, the expo, and package pickup, filling each rider's package with the right materials, setting out traffic cones and the hairpins, water stops, purchasing an actual truckload of bananas, cookies and bars, setting up portable waste management, transporting and placing the post-ride baggage for riders in Marion and on Mitchell. There's the printing of forms, signage, rider numbers, rider lists, and rider check-in lists, bicycle hang tags, tickets, flyers, maps, rules and regulations, banners, official SAG vehicle identification stickers, crew duty checklists, the design of artwork for production of rider kits, t-shirts, and patches. It takes a great deal of time and effort to work with and organize plans with state officials and local professionals, police, EMS and firemen, city and county governments of 2 states, legal advisors, insurance companies, media, film and photography groups, caterers, auditorium and banquet facilities, results clock operators, radio communication clubs, website developers, banks, financial committees and accountants, public relations, bus and moving truck rental for bike and rider transportation, the securing of corporate donations, and much, much more. Not to mention organizing numerous volunteer groups like churches, schools, and scouts, charity donor groups, and then there's the critical training that goes into place in teaching the volunteers how to perform their duties to help the riders have the best experience possible. The volunteers get up before dawn to drive out to where they're stationed. They endure a full day of sweating, freezing, getting soaked and sunburned, and many of them go home totally exhausted, but happy that they were able to be a part of helping riders have an amazing adventure. All of this and more they cheerfully give, for free. Volunteers donate their personal coolers, chairs, tables, canopy tents, flashlights, extension cords, Band-Aids, you name it. They sacrifice their own time and money to pay for their own food and gas. And then there's the cleanup afterwards, and the return of rental trucks, coolers, chairs, tables, lost and found items, the taking down of banners, rider lists, and a whole lot of scraping tape off windows and floors, updating the website with the results, uploading photos, and then everybody gets about a month and a half where nobody touches a bicycle or mentions the word Mitchell. And then it's time to start planning for the next year's assaults, and the excitement begins all over. It's a labor of love, really, because you see, nobody is a full-time Assault on Mount Mitchell employee. Everyone comes together and gives of themselves, just for you.
My name is Keenan Mullen, and I'm from Spartanburg, and I'm with the public relations firm Mullen Halstead, and we are the directors of the assaults this year. And I will say that today has made every minute worthwhile working on this.
Steve Verdell. This year I'm a secretary for the Freewheelers, and normally I ride the event, but this year I'm helping coordinate the buses and trucks getting bicycles back down to Marion Spartanburg.
Ken Kirkley from Spartanburg. I work at the North Spartan Baptist Association office. I have a group of volunteers that take care of loading trucks of the bicycles. And then the Spartanburg Amateur Radio Club takes care of all the communications.
Brett Phillips from Spartanburg, South Carolina with the Amateur Radio Club there.
How long you been doing this?
This is my 7th year.
I'm Lester Kennedy. I'm from Spartanburg as well. It's about 10 years.
The radio club's been doing this for several years. I've been a member of the club for the last 14 years, and they were doing it then.
So my name is Les. I'm originally from Charleston, South Carolina. I've been in Spartanburg since 1974. I've been working with this assault, 15 years. Working as a SAG vehicle for about the last 5.
Kevin Underwood. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I run a registration and results management company.
Joey Blanton from Spartanburg. I'll be working up on the mountain, giving out drinks and sandwiches and fruit.
Awesome. And I'm Bubba Brunson from Spartanburg, and we're here to cheer on the riders, and we're going to Rest Stop 8 with the Spartanburg Running Club. And we look forward to a great day and hope all the riders have a safe ride.
Hi, I'm Steve Gibson. This is Rest Stop 1. We are from Spartanburg First Baptist Church.
Hi, I'm Dave Collins with the Spartanburg Amateur Radio Club, working on the assault from Mount Mitchell. This is the 4th or 5th year I've done this, the 3rd year at this water stop. The radio club provides communications for the entire event from start to finish. We man sag wagons to pick up people. We have mechanics with radio operators with them, and all the water stops have people on site so that we can communicate.
My name's Steve Schindler. We're with Walgreens. This is Rest Stop 2. This is the 3rd year we've been doing this event, volunteering for it. The proceeds that we get, we put towards the School for the Deaf and Blind in Spartanburg County. And this is just a great event. The riders love it. The riders are very appreciative of our volunteer efforts. And it's something that we really enjoy doing.
My name is Marie Tewksbury. I'm from Oakbrook Prep School in Spartanburg. We have 25 kids who are volunteering today.
Hi, I'm Barbara Wagner, and my husband Steve Wagner has done the assault on Mount Mitchell for 20 years. And for the last, I've done it for 18 years, and because he loves it so much, I help out. And I've continued to help out just about every year, either on the top or down here in Marion, and I love doing it because I love the bikers.
I'm Phil Colbert. I'm from Oakbrook Prep.
My name is Hunter Councilman, and I'm one of Phil's friends, and we just came. We decided to jump in the creek, and we thought it'd be fun.
I'm Kristen. This is my first time volunteering, and the first time seeing a bike race, and it's really exciting. Awesome! I'm Ashley. I'm from Spartanburg, and this is my first time volunteering at the bike race. My dad's done it for quite a few years, so it's fun just to watch.
My name is Dan. I'm actually from Bounty. I'm Buddy. I'm from Bard. Scott Collins, Marshall.
Ray Shulman. I'm Safety Director for Young Transportation.
I'm Carl, I'm the president of the Freewheelers, and I was able to ride. We've got 2 great directors here that were able to put all this together, and everybody else stepped up. So I was able to ride, had a great ride today. I'd like to thank the Mount Mitchell State Park for allowing us to have this up here, and the Blue Ridge Parkway for allowing us to have this year after year. It's a great event. I'd just like to thank all the cyclists for coming year after year, showing how important cycling is to Spartanburg. We just had a great time.
See all these gnats up here? My buddy here has a story about these things. We had a guy that had tasted brie cheese for the first time about a year or 2 ago, and he had been eating this cheese all day long, and he said, I really like this brie cheese with this cracked pepper. And I'm thinking brie cheese doesn't have cracked pepper in it, and I looked, and it's loaded with these gnats, and he is just having a feast with this brie cheese. And that's another Mount Mitchell story.
Perfect. He just eating that stuff big time.
Oh, it's just dotted with these things, man. He's just going crazy.
What was that guy's name again? You're gonna have to edit this out.
I appreciate it, man. I don't even know if I got it.
7th attempt. Screwed that up.
3rd attempt. What do you mean attempt? I did it.
Yeah, that's the wrong voice. Name, where you're from, and how many times up is this?
Roxanne. 3rd time.
You wanted me to say it or you? Hey, I was gonna.
Now, you know what? There's a lot of liars on the course. Thinking, oh, it's flat the rest of the way. Flat the rest of the way. I believe them.
Really?
I believe them. I'll never do it again. I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
I'm Scott Sisk. I'm from Campobello, South Carolina. This will be my 4th attempt at going up Mount Mitchell, and since I started Marion, this will be my 7th time going through there.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, and my name is Dave Dawson. I'm from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, and this will be my 3rd try. Hoping to at least not do as bad as I did last year.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gary Purenton. I'm from Spartanburg, and I'm a virgin.
You good to go?
I'm just happy I finally caught you.
All right, so let's go. All right, so
give me one second. Go ahead.
My name's Scott Frock. Try again.
all right. How's your legs doing? You all right?
I'm dying, but it's all right.
All right.
My name is George Meyer. I'm from Spartanburg, South Carolina. I just finished my 25th assault on Mount Mitchell. I have won this assault 5 times. The last time I won it was back in '96. So I'm 53 years old, so I'm still hanging in there. But I was suffering today. But still, I think I finished in the top 10.
George, why do you ride?
Well, it's my passion. I just love to ride bicycles, and especially I like to climb, and Mount Mitchell is a special place for me, and I train here all the time. It's beautiful up here, and it's good exercise.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever. I edited out all this stuff.
Are you already rolling?
My daughter Tabitha, her name's Tim. I'm from Tullahoma, Tennessee. She's from Nashville, Tennessee. This is our first time. We're going to do Marion this year, and she's trying to talk me into doing Mitchell next year.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, Charles Fetzer, F-E-T-Z-E-R, Oriental, North Carolina. 74 freaking years old.
You going on to the top?
Yeah, I'm going to attempt it anyway.
All right.
Thank you.
I need, I've had a great time. And one suggestion, don't try to stay with the pros when they start. Back off, that is foolish. So that's my advice to anybody who's doing it.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Monty Palmer.
My name is Jim Campbell. I'm from Panama City Beach, Florida, where we have absolutely no hills whatsoever.
Cool.
And so this is my first time doing the assault, and I was talked into doing it Friday.
Really?
And today is Monday, so curse the guy who talked me into this.
You haven't had any really funny stories today? No funny stories?
A man walks into a bar, start there. A man walks into a bar, you start there.
A man walks in the bar? Alright. I'll talk to them and you record.
Absolutely. I'm just going to be we're spectators. All of us out there.
You can be a spectator on this.
Okay, Tim, that's a ride, Charlie.
When we start out, we're coming out of Spartanburg. I'm squeezed to the inside. He yells, "Get on!" There's no getting on. You know, they're running 25 miles an hour, and I'm sitting 19.
Dennis Lewis.
One more time. Doesn't mean screwing up.
Documented for what?
I'm Adeline Parker from Shelby, North Carolina. And first of all, I want to thank all the guys that ride with me. They encouraged me so much. And this is my 3rd time doing it. I did it once in 1988. And I did about 6.5 hours. And then I did it last year when I did it in 6:29. And I think I did it around hopefully like 10 minutes faster this year, about 6:19. And I'm 50, turning 51. And this is my last time I'm doing it, and I knew that coming in, so I'm just tickled I didn't have a flat or mechanical problems or a wreck. That's all I prayed about for the last 3 months. It's a great ride. makes you feel great when you finish it. And I appreciate the Spartanburg Freewheelers and all the people that put that, that make this happen, and the training rides and the great people that you meet during the riding. And most of all, I appreciate the guys I ride with in Shelby. I couldn't have done it without them.
About 30 miles out of Spartanburg, my knee went out. I pedaled 67 miles down here to the bottom. I climbed Highway 80 on one leg.
That's the true story.
That is true. You know why he's a photographer? Because you got to take a picture to believe what he's saying.
For the assault.
Okay.
Name, where you're from, and what attempt?
John DeLutis. This is my 23rd assault.
You got me this morning. You got me yesterday.
Yeah, well, I didn't get you up here this morning.
Oh,
what's your name and where you're from?
John DeLutis, Harford County, Baltimore, Maryland.
Right. How many times up is this for you?
23.
Name?
Jamie.
Where you from?
Boiling Springs.
And what number ride up is this for you?
Number 1.
All right. Why do you ride bicycles? Why do you do it?
I don't know.
Why do you climb Mitchell?
I don't anymore.
Why did you start today?
Her brother got me involved in cycling, actually, so and it's just something I've wanted to do since I heard about it. So now you want to come close?
I'm nervous. I'm shy.
Since when?
Huh?
Since when are you shy?
I don't know. I think I just started now.
You just started.
I see the camera.
Okay.
So what should I say?
Just talk. Say what your name is, where you're from.
Okay, let's go it.
Alrighty. What's your name?
Well, my name is Eduardo Maldonado.
Alrighty.
I am from Argentina, but living in the U.S. since 7 years ago.
Awesome.
And I'm rather new in cyclism, and that's because of him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Oh, and so is this your first assault?
He's my coach and my inspiration for this.
And what was your name?
My name's Jim Thompson.
We have to make sure the famous person gets his name on here too.
Put together because
Oh, that's
we will be
right.
famous in the future.
That's right.
For other reasons, I told you, but I'm just playing.
Is this your first assault or your second?
No, my first. I don't know.
Awesome.
First is my first.
Hey, we're Dennis and Mark Lewis, and this is our 28th assault on Mount Mitchell. We started back in 1984. We missed one Mitchell in that whole time, and man, we've been through everything, all the different courses.
Snow,
all the
snow
weather.
at the top, water, rain.
I've moved several
27 times so far to the top.
I used to live in Greenville, South Carolina, then I moved to Florida, and I've lived in Wyoming for the past 12 years, and we've always come back here. I've been married and divorced 2 different times, and still coming back to Mitchell.
Nope. Still broken. It must be a setting because whenever you push it like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right, go ahead.
So I have to acknowledge my friend Americo Reuque, who was my inspiration in my own country, Argentina, to start cycling before Jim.
Oh, okay, so you've been replaced.
I have been.
Y'all have a good day.
You got a spare hamstring?
Yeah.
I really need one.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Armando Aguilar, alias Bubba. Live in Moore, South Carolina. And attempt to make it to the top.
What number is this for you?
About 10.
Mark Hall, Miami, Florida. First tilt I've ever done.
What happened?
Oh, I was cramping up.
Why would you make it?
And I didn't realize I was that close.
Yeah.
Well, I was riding like the no man's land. I was like, I was thinking I was the only one up here at that point.
Okay, so I take that as a yes, you're doing it again.
But then the male hormones came out in February, and
I'm doing it again, by God.
I don't even feel sorry for you. That's a stupid mistake.
I love it. Have a good trip back to Greenville, okay?
Yeah, you'll see me next year.
Joe Richardson, and I'm 15 years old from Raleigh, North Carolina, and it's my first time doing Mount Mitchell.
My name's Charles Hodge. I'm from Clover, South Carolina, and I've been riding for about 4 years now.
Why do you ride a bicycle?
It's just like a challenge that's too much suffering to imagine. Most people couldn't take the pain for like 10 minutes. Like we took the last 2 hours. Most people couldn't handle that kind of pain.
Yeah, I'm Philippe Jacquin, and I'm French. I really enjoy that climb, well organized, beautiful weather, nice people, nice riders. But man, that's sport, and I'm so pleased. I have some friends that encourage me to get there and do my best, and I would say hello. And my kids also, they find the bike, and I'm very pleased. Very good opportunity, and thank you for what you did on opening the road. Everything was safe, everything was perfect ride. Good job. I'll bring you back to France with me. I'm flying back to France in end of June, and with very, very good souvenirs of riding in the US. It's a great time.
Awesome. Why do you ride? Why do you ride a bicycle?
Why? Started very young. I grew up in the Alps, and it was part of my way of life. It's so good.
My name's Abdul Salam Mohammed, and I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and it's my first time to assault on Marion.
Hey, this is Scott Kirkpatrick, fourth trip up from Repton, North Carolina. Great ride. Everybody's all positive. Everybody wants to make it to the top and encourage each other and get them up there.
Cool. Why do you ride?
There's nothing like it. You be in a big group of like 100 guys, the trees start to shake when you go by the road, just like by the train. It's because of that wind that you're creating on a bicycle. So those spots where you get to ride like that, it's fun.
Does it make you happy?
Oh, yeah, feel real good.
John McHugh, Columbus, Ohio. First assault on Mount Mitchell. My friend said I'm nuts. I think I am. But I'm here at the top.
Woo! Woohoo!
Yes.
We're doing the documentary.
He'll talk to you. I can't. I'm
Awesome.
an illegal alien. So. Where's Walter, though? I would talk to
Walter is straight down there.
Yeah, I would talk to him.
You won't talk to I'm his wife. Okay, well, if I could get your name, what number this is for you, if it's your first, second, and that you made it to the top.
My name is Bill Fisher, and this is the first time I've done this.
And you made it to the top?
I did.
How do you feel?
It was a long day. It was a very long day. But it was good. It was all good.
What made you decide to do the assault?
Well, I did Marion twice before. So I figured this is the next step. So here I am.
What's your name?
Bill.
Where are you coming in from?
I'm from Oviedo, Florida.
All right.
This is my 7th time doing it.
Seven?
7.
All right.
Now, not the fastest. I limp up here every year. It seems to get harder every year.
How's it feel to be an assault rider, man?
I'm Lisa, and I'm from the Spartanburg area. This is the 3rd time that I did it, so it was a good experience.
I'm Sergeant Lee Range. I'm from Spartanburg, South Carolina. This is my 4th attempt to ride Mount Mitchell. Plan to be here in the morning at 6:30.
What are you excited about? Oh, I'm here to give you my bicycle.
Why do you ride bicycles?
Because I love it.
My name is David Weininger. I'm from Hayden, Idaho. Known Dennis and Mark Lewis for 16 years, and they finally talked me into coming and doing this. This is my 3rd assault on Mount Mitchell, so and I don't know if I'll get to 28. I may have started a little late, but we come every year. It's a good time to get together with friends and hash it out.
My name is Lawton Sally. It's my 1st attempt on a recumbent to Marion.
Right.
And I'm Deb Sally. This is my 1st attempt to Marion.
John Angel from Greenville, South Carolina. This is my 7th attempt.
I'm Samantha Bent. I'm from Rock Hill, South Carolina. This is my 1st attempt.
I'm Brian Wood, and this is my 1st attempt at the top of Mount Mitchell.
I'm Scott Frock from Saluda, South Carolina, and this is my 2nd assault on Mitchell.
That climb like that every once in a while, they sweat it out and they're saving lives. So a lot of us will be wearing kits that cost more than the bike that they purchase for people around the world.
You got it, buddy. What's your name?
Very evil side.
All right, where you from?
Springfield, Ohio.
All right, is this your first ride up?
First ride up Mount Mitchell.
All right, is there gonna be a second?
Yeah.
Why do you ride?
I love it. Love the torture.
How'd you get started?
Local bike club.
Awesome.
That's awesome. 288. I got your bike.
Yeah. Okay, this is when the questions start, okay?
Yeah.
Here you go. You get one of these. I'm putting it in your bag.
Heck for
Are you doing it again?
I'll be here next year.
Oh.
Where do you go? Spartanburg. Yes, ma'am.
Did you have to stop for the weather?
Yeah, we got stopped for about 45 minutes in the hail.
Now, do you like that treat we ordered in today?
Yeah.
A little challenging.
It's going well now.
Congratulations. Your dry clothes are right at the top of the hill.
Already all around there.
You made it. You getting me? You made it.
Can we drive it?
Well done.